Is your income vulnerable to economic shifts? We need to change that. Let's talk about how travel agents can thrive even when the economy doesn't. All right, guys, don't forget to take a moment, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell right here on YouTube. Every single week, we bring you amazing content to help you grow your travel businesses, and I don't want you to miss a thing. If you're new here, type a little "I'm new" in comments so I can welcome you to our community. And if you are new, you might not know who I am. My name is Cyndi Williams. I am the CEO and founder of Wanderlust Campus. We help you with all things growing your travel business. You can find all of our information over at travelschool.com. But today, we're talking about recession-proofing your business and things to know. Now, listen, I've been in the industry 30 years, so I have been through things like 9/11. Of course, we all went through the pandy a few years ago. Big economic shift in 2008, which was definitely now considered a full-on recession. So this is not my first rodeo being through turbulent times, right? So I want to just set your little hearts at ease because it can be a stressful time, especially when the news is like scary, or it's this way today and this way tomorrow. And there's so much happening in the financial world. So it's one of those things where, listen, I get it. It feels heavy and we don't want to make light of that, but there are things that you can do. And also, like, as a entrepreneur and as a business owner, you have to think about things a little bit different when the economy shifts, so you can make sure that your personal income is still going to be at, or even what opportunities might exist in these type of environments. So sometimes it's going to require you to think out of the box, think a little more creatively, and also to just do some protection things. So we're going to get into all of that today. I want to remind you guys too, if you don't already have your free Wanderlust Campus accounts, over 7,000 of you, I think we're almost at 8,000 now, have already gotten our free Wanderlust Campus account. So we have a bunch of free resources in there for you. I'll link that down below, but make sure you get your free Wanderlust Campus account. If you love this video, you're gonna love everything that we have in there for you as well. But let's get into the first kind of topic, the fragility of only having one income source. So, for a lot of years, I just worked in corporate, and, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, it was a lot. Like, it was a lot of hours in the day, and then finding extra time and having a hobby business on the side. So I worked for travel-based companies for a lot of my early career, right? Climbed the ladder, got all the way to vice president status, did all the things, running call centers with thousands of people, all the stuff. However, none of us were immune to what happened back in 07, 08, right? When the economy started getting turbulent. And also, like, even in corporate, sometimes this one would get downsized, this one would get sold off. And then so you were constantly like skirting to other places or working to like your next opportunity. The company that I worked for, I was there for 10 years, but I got bought out 2 times in the time that I was there. So like, now you need to move to Texas, so it was just a lot, right? But what I want to say is, one of the things that I'm so grateful for when I married my husband is he's like, I've just always really wanted to be an entrepreneur. And we both had I love travel industry. He has his own interests, but we started down the journey of becoming business owners. And we did this at probably the worst time possible. So, I had my travel business on the side for several years, but back in 08, we bought a different type of business. It was a franchise business, and we cashed out our 401ks. It was right before the big collapse. Okay. So everything was fine and dandy. Economy seemed great. All the things, right? We wrote a $30,000 check to this franchise at the time, and then cashed out our life savings. And we're like, we have enough to live for 18 months. And on this particular business model, they were like, it takes 18 months to get to what you call break even, which means when your company's making enough money to support itself, and then you get into profit levels. So you have to commit to pretty much not making any money for a year and a half and figuring out how you're going to live and feed your family. We had kids and all the things. Luckily, travel businesses, they break even immediately, so you don't have to worry about that. But this particular business was a whole different setup. So we did this process, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because this was just on the cusp of leading into the biggest recession in my lifetime, right? So what I want to explain to you guys is some of the things that we learned through mentorship and some of the things that I learned during this process that have made me not worry so much about economy fluxing, because I know how to handle when this stuff comes up. So hopefully some of the things we share today will help you with that too. But the story goes like this. So I remember my husband looked at me and he's like, we just cashed out. Like we're all in on this deal. Like all the chips are on the table. And he looked at me and he's like, this bleep better work, right? And I was like, we got to make it work. So we were like, and this was like a brick and mortar type business. We were in there at 6 a.m. every day. And about actually it was only about 30 days after we actually opened our doors is when all the news reports came out. They're like, we're going to be in a full on recession. Here's what's going on. Here's all the things that are happening. And also I am at this point, like 8 months pregnant. Okay. With our second child. And we're like, what are we going to do? Like we had mapped out, because now the franchise is like, oh, well, now with this new data, it could be 24 months or 30 months before you hit that break even point. We're like, what are we going to do? And so we had to make drastic changes. And when I say drastic, I mean, we rented out our home at the time so we could move into the cheapest little crappy shack of a house you could find that was around the corner from our office. Because we're like, we're just going to do it for a year. We're just going to do it for a year. We're going to work in this business. We're going to do what it takes. And like, we were like, we just did what it took, right? And a lot of people, that's the thing with entrepreneurs, a lot of people will hang on to that like kind of, I need to maintain my lifestyle till the bitter end. But we proactively said, you know what, we need to scale it back. We need to eat Chef Boyardee pizza. We need to have soup and sandwiches where, no eating out. Like we literally scaled all of our spending back and everything went into that business because we were all in. And then to add more fun to the story, about a week before I was due, our office manager, and this was a business where we had a lot of Spanish speaking employees. So she was our manager, but she was also our translator. So my husband speaks some Spanish. I speak like un poquito, right? So, but our manager came to us like, a week before I was supposed to give birth. And she's like, I am moving to a different state, so I have to quit with no notice. So we're like, what is happening right now? So literally with that news, then I go right into labor, like within a couple of days of that announcement. And I didn't get a maternity leave because my husband and I are like, what are we going to do? Like, we can't afford to pay another manager. We can't train someone up that quickly. So when I tell you, we went to Target and got one of those rolly bassinets and I rolled it into my office. And hopefully this isn't too much information for you guys watching, but I nursed my child and I had a headset on and I did the service and I did the sales and I helped my husband in the office 3 days after giving birth. Okay. So having been through that experience of just knowing that I will do what it takes when it comes down to it, when it is our business on the line and all the things, this is one of those things where you build your resiliency as an entrepreneur and as a business owner in hard times. How you operate in hard times determines your success in all times. I said that a million times during COVID. I was like, I know you guys are going through tough stuff. How we operate now in the hard times is how things are going to, it's going to be easy and even better when things are all better. So if you operate from that understanding of, sometimes I'm going to have to hustle more. Sometimes we're going to have to do extra. Sometimes there's going to be things where more is going to be asked of me because this is my business, right? So understanding that sometimes putting that extra effort in and putting that framework around your business to put your business first, it's temporary sacrifices for long-term successes. And I share this because I feel like there's so much like, people and coaches and all the things out there are like, I know everything to do and I know how to be successful and all the stuff. But when you really peel back the layers of kind of what's going on is like, did they like go through these periods? And nobody talks about the hard stuff. And the reality is you don't become an exceptional business owner unless you have navigated some rough waters, right? So I want you to look at this as like, diamonds need pressure to become what they are. So if you're feeling a little bit of that stress right now, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. So I try not to stress out during difficult times. In fact, I'm very particular about not listen. I'll get just, what are the updates, highlights of what's going on in the news today, but that's it. And then I'm focused on what do I need to do in my business today to help me thrive, help my team thrive, help our clients thrive. And I am focused on that energy. And that is the only energy you can allow in when you are going through difficult times. So, but having only one income through this process, guys, like starting like a travel business, or even if you're inspired to start some other kind of business, if you're watching this video and travel isn't your thing, you need to have a side something bringing in income. Because when you do, because even when we went through those difficult times, I did also have my travel business. So even when we had the difficult times and that business was making zero money, we had a little income coming in, right? I mean, it's only a couple $1,000s a month at the time because I was putting so much energy towards growing the other business, but a couple $1,000s was a lot when it could have been zero coming in, right? So that was, we were able to take our kids to Chuck E. Cheese for her birthday and all the things, right? That was a big expenditure back then. So have something, even if you're starting, if you work a corporate job, you never know when you can get downsized. You never know when someone's going to buy you out. You never know when you're going to get laid off. So having some type of side income coming in, another revenue stream, is everything when we are navigating these types of periods that we could be potentially in for over the next year or so. I mean, the economists are saying, yes, we are. There's varying opinions on what's going on in the economy. But we're always going to err on the side of caution. But my goal for you is one of the first ways to protect yourself is have another income. Don't just rely on your corporate job. And then what are you going to do if you hit unemployment is, oh my gosh. And if there aren't as many jobs in your field or jobs at the pay that you need to be at, it is going to help you a ton to have a side income coming in for potentially the rest of your life. If it's something you love, that's a bonus, like travel, right? So make sure you're diversifying those income streams is really important. Now, I want to talk about resiliency of the travel industry. This is something that's so interesting because I did notice this when we went through that whole recession period before. I was like, wow, there are still people that are definitely traveling and buying big trips and doing things. So I learned that lesson. It's kind of like the old Lamborghini commercial where they're like, why don't you advertise on TV? They're like, because our customers are not sitting around watching TV. Like, they have money. People who have money have money. So making sure that you are understanding there are still people that are going to travel. So if you are doing your job at the highest level, you can still make significant income in travel. I want to share a chart with you really quickly here. So this chart was built from statistics from the Bureau of Labor, Investopedia, and CE Interim. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to analyze the travel industry's impact in 2008 compared to the automotive industry. And if you remember at the time, some of you youngsters won't, but if you remember at the time, remember there was all the auto loan bailouts and the big bank bailouts and things like that. And I also wanted to compare retail. And the reason I want to compare retail is because I think it's so interesting because, is someone going to go buy like a shirt or some lipstick or like, little things, or are they going to take their trip? And if you look at this data, you guys, look at how travel actually was above the bell curve for these other, compared to these other industries, in how it tracked much, much higher in terms of expenditures, but also the recovery period. You can see that it bounced back stronger and faster than the other two sectors. So I think that really tells a tale. And way back in my very first travel job, I remember we had like a data analyst come in, and he's like, the last thing that people will give up, especially in difficult times, is that vacation, because they're feeling more stress. They want that time together. They're feeling like, the world isn't supporting me. I want to circle the wagons and be with my family. So vacations are usually the last to go. They would rather, like I did, eat the Chef Boyardee pizza and like make soup and sandwiches so they can still get that little Disney trip in, or get that trip, to get that cruise in, right? So I wanted to share that data because I think it's very encouraging. Hopefully that will just kind of set your hearts at ease that the travel industry is a great industry to be a part of. If we are going to have some bumps like every other industry, that potentially could happen, but it's going to, even if it goes down, it's going to come back right back up. We saw that in COVID. If you followed the channel along that time, I kept it, every prediction. If you go back and watch those videos, every prediction I gave came true. I said, there were people saying, travel's not going to come back for 10 years. It's not going to do this. It's not going to, I was like, oh, okay. And I had to make a ton of content around, guys, let's look at at the data. Let's look at the facts. I know this is something we haven't been through before, but here's my prediction of what's going to happen. And it is almost exactly what happened. So hopefully that's encouraging for you guys to know, just based on I have 3 decades of experience now in the industry and running successful multiple 7-figure businesses. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, obviously, in all these different areas. But let's also talk about, real quick, if you don't already have your Wanderlust Campus account, this is another place to get those free resources. So visit us at wanderlust-ceo.com and grab all of your campus stuff that you can get in there. There's a bunch of free resources that will help you if you're in learning phase. There's even some free courses that you can take in there and some free training, just to kind of get a framework and kind of get in there and get all that freebie stuff. Next thing I want to talk about, though, there's also opportunities. Whenever you're going through a period where revenue may dip or travel trends may dip, and we saw this during COVID. I did so much travel during COVID, I'm embarrassed to say, but because I got so many offers of, Cyndi, come see this free thing. We'll pay for you to come here. Do you want to come here? There's a ton of fam trips. If you have a history of having a good sales history in the industry, the suppliers, they need to fill those rooms. The rooms are there. So if they can't fill them with regular customers, that's when more offers come for the industry. So you need to have your eyes open to say, okay, what fam trips might travel agents have access to, or what things do I really want to learn about? Maybe you want to expand your niches. Keep your eyes open on following and learning about those FAMs. We just did a really amazing FAM a couple months ago where we were able to take some of you guys and some of our alumni on the Ovation of the Seas, and they called us up and said, Cyndi, we love the work you're doing at Wanderlust Campus. Your students come out selling and confident and doing all the things. We want to gift you 12 free cabins, and we were able to take those cabins and create our own event on the Ovation of the Seas. So we had our own FAM trip, and again, we post that kind of stuff inside Wanderlust Campus and over on places like Instagram and things like that when they pop up. But the point is, when things come up, keep your eyes and ears open and use that as an opportunity to not just learn, but also what can you get out in destination to reach more customers so you can sell more. And again, just like I had to hustle more in 2008, 2009, which, by the way, I didn't finish my story there, but I want to share with you guys. Not only did we move back into our house a year later, we grew that little small business in record time. It became the biggest of its kind in the state of Texas and the 7th biggest in the country. We ended up selling it. We owned it for about 9 years, so we had it for quite some time. But we grew it to from depths of zero all the way to the heights, right? So just to kind of bring that whole hero's journey from start to finish, from those toughest days at the beginning to being able to sell it. And of course, you guys know all I do now is travel full time, and I'm of course the head of Wanderlust Campus, and helping you guys here grow your travel businesses. So it allowed us to kind of do that whole process of evolution, which was great. But I would have never be as good at business today had I not gone through those tough times. So don't be afraid of the hard times. Pressure makes diamonds, right? All right, so we talked about leveraging fam trips, and also it's going to help you build your credibility, your brand authority, all the things getting out on those trips can do for sure. Building those multiple income streams. So as you have your travel business, think about different ways you can build income streams. So are you thinking about group trips? Are you thinking about scaling a team? Are you thinking about having a fee model, which is pretty common in the industry? When I, 5-7 years ago, before pre-pandemic, everyone was like, oh, I would never charge fees. And now all of the major associations are like, yeah, everybody should be charging fees. We're professionals. If we did not learn one thing from going through that whole process, you should have learned to charge fees. So making sure that you have those built in as additional income streams are really good. So think about how you can incorporate some of those as well. If you are a student of mine, remember in Careers on Vacation, we have all of the extra resources on how to monetize your business multiple different ways. So lean into that. If you are an alumni as well, you have all those resources at your disposal inside your Careers on Vacation certification program. And then investing in continuous learning. I can't tell you if there's ever a time, I never freak out if things are slow or I use that as this is the universe giving me a gift to learn more, to give more, to be in the world more, to plug into my family more. And it took a long time to get there, right? I would say my first 20 years in business, even in corporate, it was like, go, 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 succeed, like really, I was I call myself a recovering type A personality, but what experience has taught me is like the real joy of life is like being able to balance these ebbs and flows and not freak out about it. There's this great Tori Amos song. Yes, I'm a super Tori Amos fan, but she has this great line. She says, I've discovered the secret to life. It's I'm okay when everything's not okay. And I think it's so simple, but it just speaks volumes. It's like, yeah, when the rest of the world is freaking out, like, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make dinner for my family tonight. Or like, how can I spark joy today? Or like, how can I help a student who I know might be struggling? Or how can I give back in a way? So if you find, it seems counterintuitive, but lean into the silence, lean into the quiet, use that time for learning, for self-evolution, for growth. If you do those things and you don't get sucked into the chaos of the news media cycles and sucked into everybody else's narrative of how they want you to stay in a cycle of fear or all the things. No, as an entrepreneur, you have to protect your mindset above all else. If you do those successfully, that will really help you take advantage of those harder times, right? Like our Inc. 5000 award guys, they look over a 3-year period of your stats and look at your growth. And so some of the years that they looked at were those COVID years. So even in those hardest years, we were doubling in size and then we tripled in size. And a lot of that was a lot of me giving back, making all these videos on YouTube, having the extra time to do things, and just from my heart giving. And my business grew so much because it was out of that spirit of not freaking out at the time and saying, you know what? I feel I have a good mindset. I feel strong, even though this is a scary environment we've never been through it before. I'm going to step up and try to be a leader in this environment. And I had no intent. My goal was not to like double and triple through those giving events. It was just to help people. But because I did the right thing and because I kept a calm head, my business grew, my team grew, all the things grew. And I'm going to apply the same thing. And you should too through this process. If we see ups and downs in the economy, it's a cyclical process. This happens. You can look at history again and again. My dad, he passed away a year and a half ago now, but he taught me from a young age. He's like, yep, every so many years, this is going to happen. So prepare for it. So I just want you guys to just kind of approach it in a calm kind of way. All right, guys. So hopefully this was helpful for you today to have a few ideas on kind of like how to manage the next several months and potentially over the next year. Who knows how long the things will be up and down and chaotic. We don't know. But what we do know is all you can do is what you can control. Show up in your business, do the work. And guys, if you are really serious about growing your travel business, having a second income stream, make sure you visit us at cruiseonvacation.com/ready-now. Chat with our enrollments department. We can talk to you about how to get certified, how to learn about the Careers on Vacation program, and do all of the fun things that we have over there to get you certified and really get real systems in place so you can scale at a level. When everyone else is like, kind of flipping around, not sure what to do, you're going to be laser focused. You're going to have mindset. We're going to teach you how to think like a CEO and get you into action. So you're going to spend this time really wisely and have that second income stream for as long as you want it, for potentially the rest of your life, which is amazing. We also ensure that you have the best and most profitable setup. A lot of people don't know that our students earn higher commission in the industry because we have relationships, and also because host agencies know that our students sell and come out more confidently than any other travel training program in the industry. So they fight for our students. And so for that reason, we have been able to negotiate higher commission for you. So I did some ROI videos on the channel on that a couple months back where I show you if you start on your own versus if you start with us, over a 5-year period, it could potentially be $100,000 more in your pocket based on the input that you're putting in, based on how fast you're growing and all of those things. But make sure you watch that video. That will help you understand why it's so important to invest in certification if you're really serious about having this as a viable second income stream and not just kind of like using it for travel, personal travel, things like that. But guys, I hope this was helpful for you today. I wish you so much love, so much abundance. I'll see you guys on the next one. last video, I want to encourage you to check out the other content we have here on the channel. We have amazing content at every level, no matter where you are in your travel industry journey, from aspiring to new to growing. Even our travel agency owners, look for those playlists and you can find some amazing content that's really catered just to you. And by the way, if you haven't signed up for your Wanderlust Campus free account, make sure you do that too. And you know what? I'm going to pick some videos and put them for you right here. Check those out. I'll see you next time.